Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Princess Zara, Princess Hussein, Excellency Sheikha al Khalifa, Member of Steering Committee of Arakan World for Architecture, the representative of the governments and some diplomats are present here, particularly my friend from Iranian ambassador. Louise Montreal, Director of the Arakan Center for Culture, Shafiq Sajidina, LIF Chairman Malik Rahim Firozali, President of the Ismaili National Council for Portugal, and other institutional leaders here present. It is indeed a great privilege to have Princess Zara and Prince Hussein with us. This immense honor shows how deep commitment of the Ismaili Imamat and His Highness the Aga Khan for the Aga Khan Award for Architect. For those who were present yesterday here, you may recall that these two conferences have been organized at Ismaili Center, taking advantage of the presence of the Award Steering Committee in Lisbon. Today, we have a distinguished honor to listen to Her Excellency Sheikha al Khalifa on investing in culture in Bahrain experience. Her Excellency is currently the President of the Bahrain Authority of Culture and Antiquity, and is a former Minister of the Culture of the Government of Bahrain. She is also author of important books in subjects like history, politics, culture, and education. It is therefore a great privilege to have the opportunity to learn from such a distinguished personality, considered one of the most influential women leaders of the Arab world. I would like to thank Her Excellency for having accepted His Highness Aga Khan invitation to be a member of the Steering Committee of the Aga Khan Award Architect 2020-22 cycle. Her presence underlines the dimension of the award has gained since this creation. As I mentioned yesterday, the Aga Khan Award for Architect has a special relation with Portugal. Farouk Darkhshani pointed out yesterday, the award is connected with this building. As exhibition and initiative of the award were hosted here at the Ismaili Center since in time of its opening. You may also recall that 2013 award ceremony took place at the St. George Castle and include her other events such as a concert by the Chronom Carter at the Monastery of Geronimus and seminar at Champalimau Foundation. Since then, many other initiatives and cultural engagement with Portuguese architects and institutions have been taking place. And this engagement of the architects with Portugal, award for Portugal, brings benefit both to the world and to the country, and recognize the high level and international prestige of Portuguese architecture. As we face every day a new challenge in our life, as citizens and communities, architecture has an increased importance for our societies. It's go beyond providing a place to live or infrastructure to use. It has become part of our way of our life. I venture to say that architecture should be a central element in the research of harmony in our lives, an essential tool for the economic, social, and cultural development for our society. It is not an accessory, but symbol of our civilization and being of our culture and token our undertaking to create a better society. And this resonates close with the value and underpinning principles of Ismaili Imamat to create better living conditions for people, taking in consideration their needs and aspiration, but also their tradition and way of life, thereby offering conditions for the construction of pluralistic society. This value of defense of human dignity, the promotion of pluralism and importance in improving the quality of life of people are also shared with Portugal and are the foundation for the strong relation between Ismaili Mohammed and Portuguese Republic, which include establishment of the seat of Ismaili Mohammed in this country to the signing an international treaty 2015. So having steering committee meeting in Lisbon is a wonderful event, and it allows us to have the opportunity to learn with the speakers who have honored us in this lecture. Architecture goes therefore far beyond building its creation with capital C. That is why I said before, this award is so important. More than a prize, it is a challenge to build a better future. Thank you.
Many thanks, Nazim Bhai. You've introduced Sheikha Mai, but I have to just say that the first time I met Sheikha Mai was together with Professor Rabat, my colleague, in 2008 in Bahrain. And there we learned a lot of how what is the most important thing is vision. That's what it counts. It's not how much that government has got the money. It doesn't mean that you've got the most wonderful architects or planners, etc. But you have to have someone who's got a vision and persistence. Sheikha Mai, during ups and downs of her career, for the past 30 years, is known all over the Arab world as someone who is in front of the fight for culture. But what she did not do culture as something which is superficial, because unfortunately, in certain countries, culture sees something that it's good to have. But she has shown culture is not something it's good to have, it's a need. We need culture. And culture is something which goes both with economy and it goes with the making a nation, identity, and many other things. She has brought a neighborhood which she had her ancestors were living, Muharraq, which was an area which was unfortunately neglected for a number of years. She has done a marvelous project which was the winner of the Arkan Award for Architecture. And Sheikha Mai, can you please address all your experiences, what you have talking about investment in culture? Thank you very much.
مساء الخير جميعاً. Good evening, Your Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished guests. First of all, I would like to thank Aga Khan Award for Architecture and the delegation of Ismaili Imamat and Portuguese. Thank you. Many thanks to all of you again. It's an honor and a great pleasure to be here and to have the opportunity to present Bahrain's approach to cultural preservation and share our experience towards building a sustainable cultural infrastructure. Allow me first of all to speak about my country, Kingdom of Bahrain, especially for you, David. Despite its small geography area, Bahrain has largely invested in building its cultural infrastructure, highlighting what we consider in Bahrain the main asset, cultural heritage. While many may know the Kingdom of Bahrain as financial harbor and the gateway of GCC market, if you are aware its old heritage and rich culture, Bahrain has always attracted the attention of travelers with its natural beauty, rich archaeological landscape, and fascinating birds, who are very well known for this important industry. The island of Bahrain was settled around 4,500 BC and became by 2000 BC a major marketplace. It was home to the civilization of Delmon. the most important civilization in the Arabian Gulf from the 3rd to the 1st millennium BC, and was described in ancient texts as the land of immortality, أرض الخلود كما نقول في العربية. The island flourished through the ages as a main harbor and became one of the main pearling centers in the Arabian Gulf. Actually, up until the early 1930s, the economy of Bahrain was largely based on pearling and related activities. But of course, that year, 1930, this industry, very important industry in Bahrain, collapsed because the Japanese create artificial pearls. And I think Bahrain, the only country, create a law not to allow artificial pearls to come to Bahrain to protect our original industry. The discovery of oil introduced a major changes and led to some significant urban and cultural developments. But despite the modernization of Bahrain, the country's local heritage and cultural traditions were grounded, and investing in the cultural infrastructure was going hand in hand with the development of the state. Here, allow me to bring to your attention that Bahrain is known for being pioneer in the Arabian Gulf for many cultural activities, including the establishment of the formal education system in 1899 with the support of the American mission. And I have to add, the first class was for girls before boys. 120 years ago, the women in Bahrain started the modern education before men. And the first school was opened in Bahrain in 1919. The first book club was established in 1920. The first magazine was issued in 1939. The first archaeological exhibition was held in 1956. The Department of Antiquity was established in 1970. The annual fine art exhibition was showcased in 1972. The Bahrain National Museum opened 1988, and I have also to add it was the first in the region with the international standard. And what we present in our showcases, in our museum, what we found in our land. You know, we never buy a collection or get something out from Bahrain. What we presented, what we found in the land of Bahrain. What I want to convey here is that Bahrain investing in the culture infrastructure is not a new phenomenon. The protection and preservation of the country cultural heritage has always been one of the main priority. And now I would like to share with you my experience in investing in culture, which started 2002, 20 years ago, Mr. Farouk. It's not 30 years ago. Okay, and Sheikh Ibrahim Center, through a small film produced 5 years ago, about 15 years, for non-profit organization, allowed me to start with the film.
مركز الشيخ إبراهيم بن محمد آل خليفة للثقافة والبحوث. نحتفل ب15 عاماً، 25 منجزاً و5 قادمة. افتتح في 12 من يناير عام 2002 كي يعيد الدور الذي أداه مجلس الشيخ إبراهيم امتداداً لرسالة التنوير الذي آمن به. المركز وعبر مواسم فصلية أصبح ملتقى أسبوعيا للمهتمين بالفكر والثقافة والفنون. مركز الشيخ إبراهيم بمدينة المحرق، مملكة البحرين.
Thank you very much. The film shows some of the houses, and there is some new. One of them, the House of Art, where we have a very special art piece. It's Mahmoud Darwish Jadariya. You know, when you touch this wall, you will hear Mahmoud Darwish saying, "Ana lastu li, ana lastu li." It's a very important piece of art, and we are very proud that we have the permission to present this artwork in our center, and it's now permanent in the House of Art. Another house here dedicated to the architecture, and in this photo you can see our pavilion in Dubai. We are responsible in the government sector about the pavilion. Our pavilion in Dubai take place, and we are doing all the responsibility about it. And the architect choose this house to present his project. So you can see it in the corner standing, and from Maharrag it will move to Pompidou Center in France. Another project, this is Ibhath or Search. It's an initiative next to Sheikh Ibrahim Center to complete the name ثقافة وبحوث, culture and research. So this one, we have a link with CERN in Switzerland, and we are very proud that we receive the first exhibition in the Middle East for CERN in one of the houses, and we sign an agreement to present research in our region. And the exhibition went from Bahrain to Kuwait, and it will travel again to Saudi Arabia, but because of the pandemic, everything rescheduled again, and it will move around the Gulf. Here, there is the house of Qazi al-Qasaibi. He's a very important poet from Saudi Arabia. He lived in Manama. That's why we call his house or the project Manamat al-Qasaibi, because he has a very special poem about al-Manama. الضوء لاح فديت ضوئك في السواحل يا منامة. And we have this written in the entrance of the house, and we have a very special piece showing the same calligraphy in the ceiling. We don't have enough photos for this project, but we consider it one of the most important, and it attracts, even during the pandemic, a lot of visitors. In 2 weeks, more than 100 or 403 visitors come to visit Manamat al-Qasaibi. This project, we call it Nuzul al Salam, small boutique hotel, and it's the first hotel in the Pearling Bath. So we are very proud that the Sheikh Ibrahim present the first place. It can be the right place to choose whenever you come to Bahrain. I don't want to promote my project, but it's beautiful of the interior, and inside it's only 6 rooms, small boutique hotel with a beautiful courtyard. And here, the last project, this year, but we have 8 in the process. This is next to the vertical garden. The vertical garden created 2011 by Patrick Blanc, who the French architect who created the vertical garden, and the building done by Anne Holtrop. You know the story of the houses, 28 houses right now and 8 in the process, didn't start 2002. If I want to, if you have some time to listen to my story, something very personal, started 1986 when my father passed away, and he left for me very important library for him. So my mission was to take care of the book, a lot of old books, but between the books I found very important letter talking about the history, about Bahrain and about the whole region. And what I learned from the original letters was totally different from what they taught us at the school. And we discover a lot of important mission for a Bahraini intellectual people with the rest of the Arab, again, writer or pioneer in that time. So a letter from Amin Raihani from Lebanon, or Abdul Aziz al-Thalibi from Tunisia, or a lot of important names from Cairo. That, take me to discover the history of Bahrain, and I start writing a book about my grandfather, because there was a note from my father that he tried to collect what his father wrote, and he said what we lost is more than what we found. So it took me to a journey. I started with the first book and ended up with 7 books, take me away completely from my family, focusing on research and learning. Every book I wrote, it was, like a master degree for me, and I end up with a master degree because of those books. I didn't meant to have an academic study, but with the books, it's a story, and I have to benefit. So after 10 years, I want to know where is the majlis, where is the place where my grandfather meet the intellectual people. He was pioneer for his time, and his influence and his letter shows a lot. So I went to Muharraq. I told my sisters, where is the house? They said it's already demolished and it's neglected. Nobody will go there. Actually, one of my friend and one of my cousin took me there, and I found a small land, part of the house. They demolished the whole huge house, and I found a land. I bought the land and established Sheikh Ibrahim Center. The support for the first project came from, of course, from my husband. But he said, who will come to listen to a lecture or a concert in the narrow street of Muharraq? He didn't believe that this center will attract a lot of people, and it's led to another project. The house of his student, or the famous person who published the first newspaper in Bahrain, next to Sheikh Ibrahim Center. And they are about to demolish again the house. So I bought it, and the story started from there. This project from the first year, Sheikh Ibrahim Center, took me also away from my house, from my family. They offered me to be part, because the center flourished and managed to invite important names from the Arab world. Mohammed was there, Sadiq Jalal Azam, and those names, they don't accept any invitation, but because it's non-profit and personal initiative, they came to Bahrain. And when they invite me to be responsible about the sector of culture and heritage in the Ministry of Information that time, it was something very new. I never worked in any place. But my husband gave me a very good advice. He said, try, why not? If you don't like it, you can quit. So I went and start working with the same spirit, with the same speed. And the minister that time, he don't agree at all. One of the projects I quit because it was the Site Museum of Bahrain Fort and the National Theatre. So when I quit, I go back to my place in the Brest Heritage House, and I stay for 2 years. Then when they get rid of this minister, they invite me again. So I went and tried to do different initiative. And I shift the same project, investing culture, from the private sector to the government department. And we managed to build a site museum and a lot of projects. I will show it now here. But at the end of the day, it's always the start is very small. I didn't know that, the first house will take me in a journey to another 28 houses right now. And it will take me to a very difficult position. Culture in our part of the world, it's not easy. And to fight all the time and up and down, in and out. It's funny, when I managed to build the site museum of Bahrain Fort, they kicked me out. So I was in the poetry house for 6 months. Then I came as a Minister of Culture, and then they decided to separate the sector of tourism. And it's a long story, but to go back to investing culture, to show what's happened in the public sector, allowed me to show some photos. This is the logo of the investing in culture and the logo of the sector of culture and heritage. This is the site museum of Bahrain Fort. The site we consider the most important site in Bahrain, listed in the World Heritage 2005, and it was my mission to protect the sea. Right now we have a vision corridor only, and we managed to build a site museum with the support of generous bank Arcabita from A to Z with the interior, the showcases, and the whole project was supported by Arcabita, and even the lighting of the port, it's Portuguese port. And the importance of the site is the layer of, the civilization of Dilmun and Tiles, and they consider the site as a reference for all the era in the Gulf. So to protect the site and to build a site museum was a mission for me, and it was the reason why I quit, and then I come back and managed to have this museum. The National Theater of Bahrain, another dream, and it was, the two projects was the main issue. And this project sponsored from A to Z, again by His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa, and it's opened 2012 when Manama was the capital of culture. It's a nice building floating in the sea next to Bahrain National Museum. Here is the another site museum for Al Khamis Mosque. Go back to 3rd Islamic century, and we managed to have a site museum for this site. Al Khalifiya Library in Muharraq downtown, and Dar Jana'. The traditional dance is very important, and this project dedicated to Al Fijri. It's very special kind of song. Usually the diver, when they go to dive for pearl, they always stay 3 months, and to enjoy the journey, there is some kind of traditional music, and it's very pleasant one and very special one. And this building, the modern building, next to the traditional dar, and it's sponsored by Alba, the aluminium factory in Bahrain, and the curtain done with aluminium. Here the visitor center, Abu Maher Visitor Center. When you want to visit the Pearling Bath, you have to take the boat from Bahrain National Museum to the first Abu Maher Information Center. And from this center, you can reach Muharraq by a bridge. But this is the bigger center for the Pearling Bath. And here, part of the Pearling Bath, I have to add something. When we win the award of Aga Khan Award, it supports us to convince the government to have a more budget to complete the projects. So by 22, I hope this project will be finished, complete. 17 houses, 17 public space, 2 visitor center, 4 car parks, and the story of Bahrain, and we upgrade all the area. Here the bridge to take you from Abu Maher Port to downtown Muharraq. Muharraq it was the capital of Bahrain 100 years ago. They consider it's the cultural capital of Bahrain. Future project. There is a dream to have a site museum for Sar settlement. Again, it's ancient settlement. And when I went to Japan, Japan Foundation, they invited me to go there. But I spent my time shopping for Todao Ando project, and I went, instead of Kyoto, I went to Osaka to his office, and I convinced him to come to Bahrain and to design for me a site museum for Sar settlement. He designed the museum and a center. We established a center, it's UNESCO category 2, to support all the Arab state, the World Heritage Site in the Arab state. So there is, it's a site museum and regional center. Still, this project is a dream. We didn't shift it to reality. We still try to find the right sponsor for it. And here is a Hadid Modern Art Museum, another dream. Again, the two projects designed 2008, and until now I don't have the right sponsor. Especially for Zaha Hadid, it's a very expensive project, but the location will be amazing. It's next to the Perling Bath Center, floating in the sea, and we can, you can imagine how much it will add to the project. During those years, we managed to bring this, the Investing in Culture project. We have raised around $147 million that were invested in different cultural projects that have boosted cultural tourism, created a new job opportunity, generated revenue, and raised the profile of the Kingdom of Bahrain as a hub of cultural activity within the region. Above all, investing in culture has represented local culture and the diversity of Bahraini community, which is the only guarantee to ensure that this development is relevant and hence sustainable. Many thanks to all of you, and sorry if I take more time. Is it enough or okay? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. If you have any question, don't hesitate to ask.
First of all, Sheikha, thank you very much. But I did not make a mistake at 30 years. I counted when you started your first book, because that's where your vision came. It's not only the projects you did.
Really?
So that is the first thing I have to remind you. No, what is very important, which just to add to how Sheikha explained this whole process, is that there is a very big difference between Bahrain and the other countries on the south of Persian Gulf. What it is that in all those other countries, everything comes by commissions of the government. There is enough money, they just give them the money. And Sheikha, she came with a model which was exceptional, engaging the public sector, the
Right.
businesses. So each of them, but this whole thing of, this is really not seen in that area, that you go to every of these single small elements, which little by little, they started with like small elements, like acupuncture, and after a while, it became a whole project. And each of them is sponsored by sometimes, but it's a very small amount of money from one bank, from another two different companies, etc., with their logos. So this is something which is a kind of a pioneering in that region. So that is really important. So how one can invest. There's a saying says, there's always money. Money, no shortage of money is not something one has to say. You have to have the right idea. If you have the right idea, the money will come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I have to add a very funny story about investing in culture and how I managed to convince people to support me. During that time they kicked me out. I was in Poetry House and doing a lot of things, a lot of activities in Paris, for example, with the UNESCO and somewhere else. I received invitation from Kennedy Center, and they said to do Ando recommend my name to give a speech there. And, I went there, they sent me a ticket and sweetened the rats, and I was wondering, I'm not that important to do everything for me. So the second day, I went to the director, and, I found the reason. It's not the speech. They want me to sponsor a gala dinner for the Arabics event 2009. And I said yes, with confidence. It was, a lot of money for 1,000 guests and a big tent. So I went back to the same bank who support me. For example, when I show the Zaha Hadid, the concept of Zaha Hadid was $1 million. Only the concept, the details drawing take 4 million. Anyhow, so they want me to sponsor that. And I said, okay, I can manage. I went back to them and they said, okay, but it happened that in the same month, they asked me to go back to the official department. So I'm always in and out. So I went to Kennedy Center with the name of Bahrain, and we managed to bring all our staff to create a very special event. And until now, they say they're still talking about it. It's not because of me, but because of the creative designer, Ammar Bashir. He did a great job. And even the chef from Lilo's, they went there. So it's always the culture is the best tool to promote any country and to do a lot. And I think if we invest in culture, we will be able to live a better life. But, I don't know, not everybody believes in our mission or our vision, but with your support, the award gave me a lot of support. So many thanks to all of you again and again.
So, volunteers for questions? You will not have Sheikha Mai again for a long time, so please, if you've got any questions. And it's very important because especially I know that there's some of you around here are in the hospitality business, so you invested in money. And these years, sometimes maybe the hospitality has come down. So this whole thing between hospitality and culture goes around. Like the boutique hotels, for example, they're beautiful. I've visited a couple of them.
You didn't see, it's a new project.
The new project, I'll come to that new project.
Yeah.
But it's not only that. So again, it's not only in Muharraq, because they've also got projects in Manama. So this is very important that, they start with one area and then they go to the, Manama is not the old city,
village.
but and the villages.
And a village, a library, a children's library. We started in Muharraq. It's for children from 6 to 12. And we shift the same idea to village. And, I have to be very honest, the activity of the village more than the one in Manama. They need it. They don't have any chance to move or to do activities. So I'm more than happy with the result of Iqra and Malchiya.
Sheikha Mai, thank you very much. It's very, very enlightening. But I have two questions, pointed questions. First of all, what is the most difficult side to convince a corporation to finance one of these projects? And number two, how you make these projects self-supporting, sustainable?
I will start with the second question, because it's very important. After all these years, I feel that, it's a big responsibility to run. I started with one house, with one employee, and now we have 28 and 40 employees and a lot of activities. So to make it sustainable, for example, the boutique hotel, I hope we will be able to have income. And the beautiful building, the green building, there is one floor we are looking for somebody to rent. And on the other hand, we have some small shops. Usually we give everything free for everybody. Only this year we start to take, the visitor, they pay $1 to visit all the houses. This is something new for us because we used to be giving all the time. We publish a book and give it for free. Still, of course, the lecture and the musical event, it's free, but we try to have a rent for some of the cafe. Usually we open it for them just to run the place. And the first question about how difficult, some people, of course, easy to convince, especially when you take them to the project. To convince anybody, by showing a project, it's not enough. You have to take him to feel the space. And most of the people who support my project in Muharraq, and even in the official department from Muharraq, a lot of banker from Muharraq, they support us. And on the other hand, when you go to a sponsor with a complete project, with the design and the concept and the area, and you bought the land and everything, they will participate. And something else, because we develop very quickly. We don't wait for a long time. For example, the boutique hotel, sponsored by Imamat, the Minister of Culture visited Muharraq, and she saw one of the projects sponsored by His Highness, the previous Emir of Kuwait, Abhat, the building. So she said, you accept donation from different countries? I said, yes. She said, send me one of the projects, or two to choose between. And they took the two in the year of Sheikh Zayed. So it's always happened. Sometimes we don't go for a sponsor. They came for us. So I have a lot of sponsors coming in the future, although it's very difficult now. During the pandemic, everything is different. A few years ago, it was more easy to find the right sponsor for the right project. Yes, please.
I think my question is related to the one that the gentleman asked. I'm amazed by your vision of all of the spaces that you've created, but I think one of the issues in culture is that you have the hardware, but to make the place alive, to make the project sustainable, to have people come there and really feel the space, you need the software, which is the artists, the cultural expression. So what do you do to support local artists and...
Of course, this is our mission.
The cultural milieu, so that you have rich experiences for people.
Right now we have 2 exhibitions opened last Sunday. I was in the plane coming here, and they complained that I didn't attend the opening. One of them in Matar House, one of the houses dedicated for art, and there is a lot of exhibition at the Matar House, and art, again, workshops. We invited a lot of speakers. And on the other hand, there is a house of architects. We have a visitor architect, and there is always activity and a workshop. It's not only each house dedicated for some of our activities, either a musical event, Mohammed bin Faris, every Thursday it's open for everybody. And this is traditional music. They are looking for this kind of music and they don't find it. It's free. Every Thursday there is a musical event. Every Monday there is a lecture, either in Sheikh Ibrahim or the Poetry House or Press Heritage House. So all the activities around the year. And during the COVID time, I stopped the activity in the official department because there is strict rules. But I continue in Sheikh Ibrahim Center. We didn't stop. Either, some of the guests, they accept to come. And some of them, with the new technology, you can have them and enjoy listening to them and learn from them. But I have to say something. When I start my project, the area was really neglected. Now anybody come to Bahrain, immediately they will go to Muharraq to discover this area. And we upgrade everything. Even the road is taking you to the small houses. Sometimes we don't find a sponsor, and this is another answer. I sell one house, it's in one development, I don't need it. And we upgrade the area in Sheikh Ibrahim Center, and the design for the floor was done by Anne Holtrop. So we try our best. And we continue doing the same activities, and I hope in the future more. But sustainability take me to another step to make this center, we call it waqf in the Islamic system, or a way to protect the houses, not to sell, not to do anything. So it will be a waqf soon. We will announce it as a waqf. And I have a board of trustees to continue, all of them friends, and one of them is my daughter, and even my granddaughter. I try to teach her to go and to enjoy. And the new film for the center, she will be part of the, the movie or the film, just to show what's going on there. I think I take a very long time. Thank you for listening to me and to give me this opportunity to be here with all of you. I'm more than happy in this amazing building and wonderful experience. So many thanks for your kind invitation. And I hope to see you all in Bahrain one day. There is a lot to see, although it's small, but it's rich in culture. Thank you very much.